This is ABC 15 News.
And thanks for choosing us. I'm Stephanie Hockridge. A horrific scene off the coast of Tuscany. 3 people dead, dozens still missing after a luxury cruise ship ran aground, sending thousands fleeing in chaos. That ship now on its side in the water, and the ship's captain is under arrest. ABC 15's Angie Holdsworth is live tonight in our social media center. And Angie, local travel agents say they really don't book many cruises with this particular line.
You know, really they don't, Stephanie. And when you look at some of the comments on our Facebook page, you know, a lot of people are weighing in on what their preference of cruise line is. And, you know, they had a lot of different opinions that definitely generated that discussion. But let me fill you in about Costa Cruises. Now, while they are affiliated with Carnival, they're also an Italian-run company. And the travel agents I spoke to said they didn't necessarily have safety concerns about that cruise line, but sometimes they did have some issues about the quality. Now, there were 4,000 people on board that ship when it crashed. Now, 129 were Americans who all managed to get off safely and survived. However, you hear their chilling description of a very narrow escape. Like a scene pulled from the Titanic, 3,200 passengers and a 1,000-member crew in a race against an invading sea.
I had 2 kids and I thought I was going to die.
The Costa Concordia's voyage of pleasure cruise turns into an excursion of fear. The rocky reefs tore a 160-foot-long gash in the hull. Passengers were first told it was a minor problem. Then the calm of dinner collapsed into chaos.
We heard this big boom, and the tables were sliding, the dishes were going, bad noise were sliding, and things were falling.
Then the unthinkable. The waterlogged ship tips over as passengers make a mad dash for lifeboats.
People were screaming, yelling, pushing. People were jumping in the water.
One of the boats was full of 200 people, went down and caught on the railing, and the lifeboat tipped sideways and then fell and swung, and everybody's screaming.
Survivors fault the crew for incompetence. The ship's captain is now under arrest for manslaughter and abandoning his ship.
I asked our cabin boy what to do. He had no idea what to do.
One of the crew members was actually telling us we need to stay on. And so when about, I guess probably 100, 150 people started swimming.
Most were saved and evacuated to a nearby island. The 950-foot Costa Concordia, longer than 3 football fields, was on an 8-day Mediterranean cruise. It now sits like a ghost in the waters near the Tuscany coast. The end of its voyage, forever a haunting nightmare. And at this point, we don't know if anyone who was on board was actually from Arizona, but most of us can pretty much relate to the emotion that this evokes. When we asked the question on our Facebook page, if people have ever worried about a boat sinking, you kind of got a mix of responses. A lot of people saying it was very scary to hear this, some saying they would never want to cruise again, but a lot of them are comments like, you know, James Scott saying, you know, he would rather go ahead and cruise because there's such a slight chance of having a problem there. A lot of people saying, you know, hey, vacationing is part of the chances that you just take in life. And we'll, of course, have the very latest on this story on ABC 15 and ABC15.com. Live here in the Social Media Center, I'm Angie Holdsworth, ABC 15 News.